Welcome again everyone, my name is Egwin with Scope of Life. Now this time I just want to add something to the last exercise I gave you guys. The last exercise that we were talking about was this grounding exercise where I used the weight shift between the left and the right leg, and I really want to go very short about that just to show you a little bit more about how exactly to position the body, how exactly the angles of the legs are going to be. And that's exactly what we're talking about right now. So let's get right into it. First exercise was with the feet definitely wider apart. I'm not going to go into greater detail about pushing and pulling this time. I'm only going to talk about the structure. So when I shift my weight from the right side to the left side, doesn't matter whether I pull or I push. Now there are two options to do so. One option is to shift the weight and to stop shifting the weight once my, in this case, left foot, or left leg rather, is exactly on top of the foot. And the same goes for the right side, and I stop as soon as my thigh, my lower leg and my right foot are completely in line with each other and are completely vertically connected with each other. The other possibility would be to shift the weight and to go a little bit further. So now I have even less weight in my right leg. My center of gravity is actually shifted a little bit more towards the left leg. As soon as that happens, the left leg will have a slight angle down towards the foot. Now obviously, if I go further, my right foot will leave the ground and then my center of gravity will shift completely over the left leg. But that's what we're going to talk about in the second step. So still this second version where I shift my weight further than just horizontally on top of my right foot in this case already means that my whole leg starts to angle towards my foot. In this position there are a couple of muscles around the leg that actually have to stabilize this position. Especially whenever I shift my weight completely onto one leg and stand on one leg. Now my center of gravity is on top of my left foot here. Now this is very important. Why? The only way this can happen is, the only healthy way this can happen is if the whole foot angles to the outside in actually my ankles down here. See that? The lower leg actually goes out to the side. The other way, if my lower leg was straight up and I shift the center of gravity on top of my foot, now I have this twist in my knee, resembled by, if you look at it from the front, by this edge, by this angle in the leg. Normally if you look at it from the front, even though I bend my left leg, still it shouldn't be bent sideways. It should only be bent in the main direction the knee joint can bend. Second exercise was we used a little bit of smaller stance, not that far apart, and in this position we shifted the weight definitely even further. In this position now, the knee goes to the front a little bit more. That's important. Still, due to the position of the lower leg in the ankle joint, combined with the bend in the knee, in order to keep this position stable. Again, I need a lot of muscles in my body, and I also need the peroneus group, or the fibularis group is another name for it, which are the muscles out here. And they actually, the longus, the long one of those muscles, they actually run down here, and it crosses my whole foot area to the inside edge of my foot. So this muscle, first of all, it pulls me to the left side. It makes it even possible for my leg to run down at an angle. Hope you can see it. And secondly, it also makes sure that the inside edge of my foot stays on the ground. And thirdly, this muscle also has an effect on the arch of the foot. So it recreates the transversal arch of the foot in this position. It actually pulls it up like so. And that's very important to understand. This is why maybe some of you might feel a little bit of pressure or tension out here. If that's the case, normally there shouldn't be any tension. If there is tension, might have a couple of reasons. One would be you actually went far too far to the side. The other one would be you have a little bit of a twist still in the knee, which would put a lot of pressure in the knee and the fibular region. And the third part could be that your knee is bent too much. Now, to talk about that, I'm going to show you from the side. Doesn't matter if it's the one with opening or if it's just the one with the weight shift. Just take a look at my feet. Another very important part here, look at my spine. My spine is upright. I'm not bent to the front in my hip joints. I'm not collapsed to the front. I don't pull my sacrum up. I don't have any anterior pelvic tilt or anything like that. No, my spine is upright. My tailbone sinks naturally. I don't like the term it's tucked under, because if you talk about the tailbone being tucked under, that implicates that it is an action using tension, because being tucked under is something active. But the tailbone should never actually be actively tucked under. It should just simply drop down naturally to lengthen the lumbar spine. So from this position, I simply go into this flex, into this knee flex. Now I have this weight shift. Now if you look at me at this moment, my weight is not in front. You see, now I have a lot of pressure in the ball of my foot. My weight is also not completely in my heels. Now, my center of gravity of my whole body, looked at it from the side now obviously, is exactly on top of the rear part of my feet here. So actually where I want to feel a lot of the power to go into the ground to is around this area here. Down here, where it's still not completely on the calcaneus, which is the heel, and not completely on the toes, but in the middle between them, where the weight can spread towards the front and the rear. And in this position doesn't change unless obviously I do the second version of the exercise with the turn. But when I shift my weight, my center still keeps being on top of that point in my foot, with my spine erect and relaxed. Now in this position, note, take a look at my knee joints. You see? They move towards the front and towards the rear. Shown from the side, See? As soon as my bum is shifted outside, my knee tucks in. Like so. And this is really bad for you. This is the only thing you can actually hurt yourself with in this exercise, because it twists the knee joint. And that's what you really have to be careful about. If you are too deep, so if you are flexed really deep, now you'll also realize that your weight is further back than when I did this exercise before. Now you need a lot of pressure in all your thigh muscles. You need a lot of pressure in the legs and in the knees. And that's not necessary for this exercise, because it's not a muscular workout. From this position, naturally drop down and stay where your structure catches you first. Obviously, of course. Yes, you could go deeper. You could go deeper and further apart and do the exercise down here. But to gain all the benefits out of this exercise that I was talking about in the last video, that's not necessary. On the contrary, it probably hinders you in reaching all the goals that I was talking about, like grounding, relaxation, coordination of the muscles, lymphatic flow, increased cardiovascular pulsation, and so on. For that, you don't have to go that deep. Don't stand completely straight either, because then you can't move your knees. It's just this very first sunken into part where you have a good balance between being able to move your knees and feeling this connectedness, this groundedness, this sinking of the pelvis, sinking off, dropping down off the sacrum area, of the tailbone area, and so on. If you make sure to keep all those aspects in mind, then I'm sure you'll do just fine in this exercise. If you have any specific troubles, so if you have any pain in certain areas, that might be related to injury or might be related to a structural deficiency somewhere within your hip, knee, ankle or arch of the foot area, and you have troubles, then please let me know. In general, whenever your arches of the foot have some troubles, there might be problems on the outside of your leg, because all the collapsed arches of the foot, they translate upwards. If that's the case, you can also try to do this exercise in combination with the exercise that I did a video about a couple of months ago, about this passive restructuring of the arch of the foot. Because if you use this passive restructuring of the arch of the foot, you build it first and then you do this exercise, the structure is correct already, and then it's much easier to do the exercise and to get a feeling and understanding for what the structures have to do. If there are more problems, like connective tissue being completely stuck or something like that, then you might have to loosen that up in order to get completely problem-free. Not really problems, but you might feel, oh yeah, there is a little bit more tension than I think there should be, or something like that. If you have any specific questions, let me know. But in general, keep in mind, whenever we shift our weight to the side, we turn up the foot. Now see, here is this angle of the whole leg towards the ground, rather than the lower leg being pulled in, or the whole leg being straight and trying to shift the bum out like so, and having to pull the whole upper body to the side. This shouldn't happen. What you want is this whole leg to run at a slight angle. Obviously not too much, because then you'll fall over. And this asks a lot of mobility in your ankle joint, in your knee joint, and in your higher fibular joint on the side out here next to your knee as well. Hope you enjoyed it and gained some new insight on how to practice this exercise. If you did so, please make sure to like, to share, to subscribe, and make sure if this is the first video you watch, make sure to watch the whole proper exercise about this grounding and moving the hip joints, mobilizing hip joint video. It's one of the last I posted, and this will enable you to get right into this exercise and all the benefits of it. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful time, and see you around soon.